think I was about 12 years old when I went into a drugstore in upstate New York and I saw the very first issue of Red Sonja, and I bought it, and I was with my grandmother at the time, and she gave me a funny look when I went up to the cash register because I think she just sort of thought he shouldn't be reading that smut.
Marvel had never had a female character that lasted more than a couple of issues. Red Sonja at the time was probably the hottest comic book that was on the stands in the 70s, and it remained that way. She wasn't a superhero, she had no superpowers.
She could fight. And this was something that women of the 60s and 70s and 80s really weren't doing.
The female form in comics, tons of people can do them. To find somebody who can draw an attractive, even sexy female in comics, not a big deal. Frank Thorne, as he came together with Red Sonja, is the personality. If all she was this just sexy figure walking around, book wouldn't have sold.
He gets a lot of recognition for drawing pretty girls, but his compositions are phenomenal.
Drawing the female character, Frank is a master. He draws them spectacularly, sensually.
What strikes me the most about Frank and his comic work is the simplicity and the efficiency of the line. Nothing is in there that doesn't belong in the drawing. He says that with an economy of effort and work, and it just comes across as a beautiful drawing.
If you're really interested in learning about comics and why some storytellers go beyond and are more important, look at the storytelling. Even if you were to cover up, even if Red Sonja didn't wear that iron bikini and everything, the storytelling, the facial expressions, that glint in her eye. Because
of the time he was drawing about, he could give them powers because they had different tools of the trade, like swords. And they lived and imbued their bodies, they were comfortable in them. They did some of the most outrageous things. Okay, some of it could be blood and guts violent, some of it could be downright raunchy, but you could hear a woman saying it. Whereas in other comics, it seemed like the male point of view.
Well, I think a lot of it comes from his marriage with my mother, and then they've always been very much equal. And they were, as a matter of fact, he was probably the Renaissance man growing up because he worked from home, and my mother was a musician. And when she had music gigs, my father would be the nurturer and would feed us and put us to bed and read us some wild and crazy stories.
The wisdom that was obviously that she was thinking, that she was doing something in panel 2 of page 7 that didn't show up until, panel 4 on page 9. But he would just give you a little precursor of it. He would, his stories, his artwork, they were well thought out, and at the same time just free-flowing and fun. He was like doing this wild dance, but at the same time he had absolute control over it. So few people can do one or the other, and Frank had both.
It's not clear why I was selected to be the artist for Red Sonja. And I took the character and refined it, but it was instant, strange, it was like we were destined to be partners in this, long ago time or something, Hyborian age. And I was just totally into it. I was throwing all this detail, the ancient civilizations, the hordes of warriors, and doing the sound effects. I lettered and illustrated, I drew everything, total control over the book, which is unthinkable now. When we drift into my later period with Playboy, which I was a contributor for 20 years to the magazine, and going from the strip, full-page strip of Moonshine McJugs to the full-page gags. And I wrote all the gags and I wrote all the Moonshine stuff. I aspired to be a writer of prose fiction, which was always one of the goals I hoped at some time.
I would consider Frank the artist who brought females into comics. and made them a strong character. Having the Red Sonja property handed to him and taking it and molding it into what it is was very unusual for the time.
I never really wanted to do comic books. I just wanted to draw and write.
He's an artist, and he creates. And why he creates is between Frank and the cosmos.
Artist is a gift word. In my thinking, you cannot call yourself an artist. Somebody else calls you an artist. I had two passions, maybe three, as a young lad. One was magic. I really wanted to be a magician in my early teen years, and even before that. But I loved to draw. I was always drawing. Very few of those drawings survive, and I don't know why. Some of them were naughty, and I suppose my mother found them and disposed of them, and maybe that's just as well.
In the eyes of his fans, Frank's work will never die.
Frank can't leave us. He's part of us.
He was definitely ahead of his time.
Frank leaves behind a person everyone cared about that he came in contact with, an international artist comparable to anyone that's out there right now, and a legacy of a body of work that will go down in history.
Frank's work guarantees his immortality. Absolutely.
I would like the world to remember that I was married to the greatest woman ever and blessed with a huge and healthy family.